As with the gaming world in 2021, anime continued to surprise us with the sheer quantity of unusual, quirky projects from studios of all sizes. While the heavy-hitter franchises still made their presence known throughout the year, the real story lay in the all-new entrants looking to carve their place in the legacy of the medium.
Before we get started, however, we have a quick reminder for those of you who haven't seen either of our previous Anime of the Year videos. Due to the nature of this medium compared to the world of video games, as well as particular circumstances we have due to our team makeup over here at Digital Era Entertainment, we have some specific rules that we operate under when curating this list.
In addition to movies and short-form animes not being eligible, Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, shows had to begin airing its first season on a US platform in the calendar year of 2021. This means we won't be featuring My Hero Academia, One Piece, or even Moriarty the Patriot's second season. Our apologies to Franji in particular for relegating that one to 8th place last year. Which, by the way, perfectly dovetails to one of the most unique caveats on our ranking, specifically the conflict of interest clause.
This year, we must once again disqualify a series to avoid a direct conflict of interest, namely Shadow's House, which would have unquestionably made the list. While there are still several shows that did make the list which feature appearances from our very own Emmy Lowe and Franji in supporting roles, it simply didn't feel right to include Shadow's House in the list with Emmy playing the lead role of Kate and assistant directing the show to boot. This one was simply too good to omit entirely though, and we still highly encourage you to check it out for yourself.
With that out of the way, it's time to once again present our 3rd annual showcase of the best anime of the year. If you're looking for a short, fun, feel-good anime to boost your mood, Skate the Infinity is it. Skate is about, well, skateboarding, with all the references to fingerboards, etc. that you'd expect from that kind of focus. But then it shoots into the hilarious, weird, and yet extremely badass stuff. This isn't simply a show about 2 cool high school boys who are kinda into ollies in the skate park. Oh no, this is about a skateboarding lifestyle. And competing in a secret deadly illegal downhill race in which explosives, dirty play, and insane skateboarding tricks are the usual. While the 2 protagonists are compelling, wholesome, and inspirational as they navigate the danger and insanity, it's the side characters and the villains in Skate that stand out to make the show memorable. Matcha Blossom, Adam in general, and that's all we have to say about that. By the end of the show, you've laughed, cried, shipped everyone with everyone, and learned the true meaning of friendship. A remarkably bombastic spin on the isekai genre, the world's finest assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat has not only a compelling original narrative, but manages to spin many isekai tropes on their heads, such as a refreshingly logical explanation for the protagonist, a literal old man with a very particular set of skills on the verge of retirement, being as OP as he is. A stark contrast to Rui Tsukio's other recently adapted light novel, the infamous redo of Healer, Assassin drips with polish, poise, and a banger of an opening theme atop incredibly thrilling plots, incredibly interesting characters, and enough intrigue to keep us eagerly awaiting Season 2. Bonus points for Luke exhibiting Lelouchian levels of craftiness, particularly in the season finale. Huh, bet you thought we were gonna let this one go by without a Code Geass reference, didn't you?
Gritty, grim war anime focused on humanity's struggle against an ever-encroaching, inhuman menace where a group of teenagers fight on the front lines with specialized weapons while a soundtrack composed by Hiroyuki Sawano plays in the background. No, I'm not talking about Attack on Titan, I'm talking about 86. Parallels aside, this tour de force is far from simply Attack on Titan with mechs. There is no training arc, there is no redacted spoiler here. You are dropped in the front lines from the beginning, and you're gonna carry that weight. This is one of those shows that doesn't do anything revolutionary, but hits all of its beats and tropes so well that it doesn't matter. The world feels developed, and the enemy force, known simply as the Legion, feel even more terrifying than the Titans, because they're a learning hive mind that can add fallen enemies to their own forces. Nobody ever feels truly safe in this bingeable action thriller. If you've heard anything about To Your Eternity, you've probably been told that it wants to make you very sad. And while that is completely true, it also wants to make you feel other things. It wants to make you feel the highs and lows of life. Perhaps not quite in equal measure, but there are highs here, we promise. Chronicling the journey of an avatar created by a higher being, our protagonist starts without a name or even the ability to speak. While a literal blank slate protagonist is usually not seen as engaging, in the case of To Your Eternity, it is most definitely a feature, not a bug. In fact, some have called the series premiere, when the protagonist is devoid of anything other than primal curiosity, one of the most gripping single episodes of anime to be released in years. While your mileage may vary, it is undeniable that this first episode evokes a more resonant emotional response in 25 minutes than some series achieve in their entire run. So grab some tissues and steel your resolve for this unorthodox yet thoughtful tale of how people and experiences shape us and what it means to truly live.
In a year where Digital Era Entertainment debuted a visual novel project as our first foray into the world of gaming, it was a pleasant surprise that a time-hopping slice of life about game devs who specialize in visual novels turned out to be one of the hits of 2021. While it could be easily misconstrued as a fan-servicey harem romp based on happenings in the first episode and an opening sequence that has more fan service than the majority of the series ever puts out, it turns out to be a very relatable what-if scenario that has the logical coherence of a show like 2016's masterpiece, Erased. Only not a murder mystery, and instead a wholesome dose of nostalgia for anyone who was college age in the mid-2000s. To that end, one of the nicest things about a period piece is when it can capture the essence of that time frame nearly one-to-one, and this is easily one of the strongest points that this unexpectedly compelling show brings to the table. The pinnacle of it being the song chosen for the climax of episode 5, which shows the team really did their homework. You'll understand when you finally go to check this one out.
Another triumphant entry in PA Works' catalog of shows that follow characters with uncommon careers, The Aquatope on White Sand explores the intricacies of working in aquariums, but also does much, much more. While it's not prominently used in the series' marketing, the series has a fitting, if somber, subtitle: The Two Girls Met in the Ruins of Damaged Dreams. Throughout the powerful 24 episodes, the protagonists overcome a multitude of challenges, both professional and personal, but also fail just as much, if not more often, sometimes for reasons completely out of their control. While there is a hint of the supernatural, this series is undoubtedly grounded in reality, and it has no problem reminding its characters and the viewer how cruel reality can be. Despite this, it also regularly reminds the viewer of how beautiful reality can be, and exudes an undeniable aura of hope that leaves you feeling that even after being knocked down again and again and again, that you can still get back up, and that sometimes our greatest setbacks can be our greatest opportunities for growth.
Arriving with the hype of 1,000 One Punch Mans, One Punch Men? The beloved manga hit screens and hearts as fall 2021 kicked off. One of the first Netflix licensed shows to break the convention of full season releases on a time delay, even if it was still 3 weeks behind the original Japanese broadcasts, we couldn't have been more grateful to have weekly installments of this show available to us. An incredibly wholesome, emotional, but still fun and silly tale of extreme social anxiety portrayed in a very tasteful manner, the story of Shoko Komi's quest to befriend 100 people will captivate you no matter how you skew in terms of viewing habits. The first episode's chalkboard sequence alone provides an incredible glimpse at not just the show's ability to deftly switch between comedy and pathos, but the exquisite detail and high-quality animation that was poured into a series that, in many ways, defies expectations given its otherwise simple premise. But as with Komi's duality of expectation versus reality, we couldn't be more grateful to have this anxious bundle of sunshine radiating in our lives for however many seasons we get to follow her journey.
Even though it was only founded in 2012, Wit Studio has made a name for itself producing the first several seasons of Attack on Titan, Vinland Saga, Great Pretender, and more. Simultaneously one of the best time travel thrillers and artificial intelligence stories that anime has to offer, Vivi Fluoride Eye's song is a testament to why they've become an industry powerhouse. With compelling characters, clean visuals, a driving musical score, and a tightly written narrative, Vivi is a shining example of how far anime can go as a storytelling medium. Centered on an AI songstress tasked with preventing a future where AI has begun exterminating humanity, the series moves through its 13 episodes with meticulous pacing. While the series is steeped in musical symbology and Vivi the character is programmed to be an idol, this is not an idol anime. Penned by the author that brought us ReZero, expect hard-hitting twists on this roller coaster that deserves to be put alongside the likes of Steins Gate.
Going back-to-back in this 1-2 punch of top honors, Ranking of Kings marks Wit Studios' second appearance on this list, and one that on the surface couldn't be more tonally distinct from the last. Ranking of Kings has them move away from their usual intense fare for something lighter, both in style and overall tone. Featuring a deaf protagonist, the series takes a thoughtful look at disabilities and holds itself to a high standard, going as far as using real sign language in its animation. As for Boji, while his dialogue may not come in the form of conventional language, the viewer is kept hanging on his every action. While the fairy tale narrative regularly ventures into somber and intense themes, including shockingly violent moments that evoke some of Ghibli's darkest fare, the show is ultimately every bit as approachable and heartfelt as it looks. Taking both the Best and Worst Parent of the Year award, Ranking of Kings, like Boji, is capable of great things with a smile and a pure heart, and is a journey that, as of this writing, is one we are continuing to enjoy as the narrative progresses.
And now for this year's honorable mentions.
Of the Year.
A recurring theme of our animes of the year to this point has been the idea that these are works that are time capsules, which have universal qualities while still retaining enough trappings of what makes anime, well, anime.
Appropriately, our third ever recipient continues the trend started by 2020 winner Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken and provides a stunningly original story that hardly looks like anime, but is still distinctly anime. However, unlike its counterpart from last year, Odd Taxi is firmly rooted in a realistic depiction of modern Japan, right down to the use of copyright-friendly storefronts and landmarks.
Oh, and the fact that everyone is portrayed by animals with quite the rationale given by series end. It is so anime, but in the best possible way. And that's where things become very interesting with this one. Despite these trappings and the easy misconception that this is anime Zootopia or furry bait in the vein of something like the popular Beastars series, it is none of these things, and something all its own. Traditional Western film scholars will immediately draw parallels to the filmography of Quentin Tarantino and classics like 1976's Taxi Driver, and for more than just the fact that the protagonist is a cabbie. Much like all these works, there is exquisitely well-written and compelling dialogue, layers of nuance, and incredible amounts of weighted psychological examinations. As in the case of the latter, it also explores the seedy underbelly of urban Japan in many ways that the bankrupt hellscape of 1970s New York is explored in Scorsese's classic.
And much like these works, it gets unexpectedly brutal at points, which further distances it from the other media it gets unfairly associated with upon a cursory glance. While it never devolves into the stomach-churning ugliness of Higurashi's most violent moments, it can be unflinching with the darker elements that drive the plot forward. Yet all throughout, there's still a sense of optimism and plenty of feel-good moments along the way which make it such a versatile dramedy thriller. Odd Taxi is truly an oddity in itself, a quirky but inspired work by OLM, the studio that has been bringing the Pokemon anime to our screens since 1997. It's a show with the maturity and gravitas of some of Hollywood's finest auteurs. It's a show that, for all the lack of visual flash and flare, still rings more powerfully than anything else in 2021.
It's a show that once you hop on board, you'll be taken for one of the best rides the medium has to offer.
Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us across social media for updates. Thanks for watching!